welcome to another segment of Coffee Talk. Joining us today is Erich Kron. Erich is a security awareness advocate at KnowBe4 and is a veteran information security professional with over 25 years of experience in the medical, aerospace, manufacturing, and defense fields. He is a former security manager for the U.S. Army's 2nd Regional Cyber Center Western Hemisphere and holds the most prestigious information security certifications. Erich worked with information security professionals around the world to provide the tools, training, and educational opportunities to succeed in information security. Welcome, Erich. We are honored to have you join us on Coffee Talk. So, Erich, what is cybersecurity awareness training, and what are the benefits to organizations that adopt a policy or a process that is not just short-term but long-term?
Yeah, so cybersecurity awareness training, in my mind, it's a bit of a misnomer, to be honest with you. I mean, this is how it started, right? The idea was you make somebody aware of something and now you're safe. That's not how it works these days. But at its at its finest points here, essentially what it is it's educating the employees of an organization, or it could be individuals as well, but educating these people about the threats they face from cybersecurity. And it seems kind of silly sometimes when you talk about that for people that don't realize why it's so important. And that's because the humans are the most targeted part of your organization when it comes to cyber attacks and things like that. It's the number one way by far that bad actors actually get into networks to begin with. So basically what you're doing is you're giving them the tools they need to defend themselves against these attacks. And while technology is great, still, even with email filters and all that good stuff in place, there's about 5% that get through those filters. And the problem is that 5% are the best ones. Otherwise, they get caught by the filters. So what's happening is we're getting better and better attacks landing in inboxes. And the cybersecurity awareness training is actually there to help the people spot these phishes and report them, and also to have better behaviors overall, passwords and stuff like that, better cyber hygiene.
Reminds me of a great quote I once heard that the bad guys only have to get it right one time, and the good guys have to get it right 100% of the time.
Well, yeah, Chris, I mean, I've heard that before, and it kind of touches on me a little bit because some of the naysayers actually use that as a defense to say, well, why bother training, right? If so many of these emails get through, then one person's going to click, right? And that's going to be that. So why bother? Well, I have to ask, when it comes to cyber controls, your security controls, what technical control do you have that's 100% effective? There
Good
are
point.
none, right? That's just not how it works. Oh, email filters, they let 5% through. Let's not use those. Antivirus doesn't catch every single virus. Let's not use that either, right? You see how when you put this into context, it doesn't make nearly the same sense. Fact is, my personal experience where I came from before here, we had a whole bunch of developers in the organization, and I spent a lot of my time at first running around putting out fires. They'd grab whatever off of GitHub, and it was infections running rampant all the time. Well, after educating them and helping them understand why we're like, this is how we want to do this, this is important to confirm these things, I went from rebuilding 2 to 3 machines a week. I mean, it was crazy, down to maybe doing it a couple times a month. So we've now reduced the number of fires that I'm running around putting out, which allowed me to be a lot more strategic. So that's one of those little phrases that I hear people say, like, the bad guys only have to be good once. Well, yes, but that doesn't mean we want to let our defenses down for sure.
100% agree. When it comes to training your team, how often and what is the schedule, if you will, for cybersecurity awareness, and when should it be conducted? How often? Who should it be conducted with? And what level?
Okay, so wow, that's a lot of questions, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Let's start with the basics. Like how often? What we've found with our training and education that we do at KnowBe4, we found that the more often you do it, the better. Now, I like to see it at least once a month if we can. But here's the trick: a lot of people think of awareness training, and they're used to doing it where you throw a bunch of people in a room for an hour, right? And you toss donuts and coffee at them, and you're expecting them to learn some things. That doesn't work so well. Think about training you've been in a year ago and what you remember from that, right? So, what we like to do though is instead of doing an hour, why not do, if you have to, 15 minutes every quarter? Why not break it up into 5 minutes a month? Just real quick kind of stuff that keeps it top of mind, that keeps them learning different topics instead of boring them to death. So that's what we find works really well, is doing it more often, but shorter types of education as opposed to the big ones. There are some organizations that use, you know, regulatory compliance as the reason for doing awareness training, which is unfortunate. And then they can make that checkbox and say, "Oh, I did it for an hour a year." But what I hope people will do is understand breaking that up. You can still meet your compliance requirements. Just do it more often and a little bit different. Now, when it comes to actually training people, um, one of the big things that I've found is we've got to make it relate to them. So it's something that they can go, "Oh, well, I've seen this. I've gotten an attack like that on my phone, right? I've had somebody trying to get me to click on a link on my phone or on my personal email." Well, if we can teach them under the guise of you're learning to protect yourself as well, that makes a big difference. Topically, and I'm trying to go through all of the questions you asked here, Chris. But when it comes to what do you train them on, it's important to understand it's more than just phishing. And this is where I
Right.
think a lot of times the security awareness training gets a little bit of a bad name. It's not just phishing, it's also not reusing passwords. And why, right? If we see people reuse passwords, it's what we do, and I understand the why. But once you understand the dangers of it and what it can do to an organization, that can really help things out from your security standpoint. Okay, so as far as topics go, I think it's really important to do things that resonate with people personally, right? Like if you can get somebody to go, "Oh, I saw this attack at home," or something along those lines, they're going to be much more likely to pay attention to what's going on. It's also more than just phishing.
Right.
It's overall scams. It's not reusing passwords. It's looking at URLs too, just in any way, shape, or form when you're browsing the internet to make sure you're somewhere that's safe or that you think it is what it is. I mean, these days, bad actors have been known to do advertising on like Google that takes you to a fake website. So it's not always just coming in through email or a text message or a phone call. It can be search results that are taking you to bad places. So it's super important that people learn to deal with that threat that's coming at them.
And maybe even applying their job or their job role to scenario-based situation where is more in line with what their daily life is like. It's one thing to be in the mindset of training. You're training, you're on the spotlight, if you will. It's another thing as you're going through your daily activities, and then your guard's down just a bit, and all of a sudden a surprise pops in, and there's many different types. You're exactly right,
Yeah.
depending on the different situation they're in. Would you say cyber training is an all hands effort? I mean, everywhere from the CEO that's been running the company for many years to the person that just started with the business. Is this really an all hands effort?
Yeah, I think everybody needs to have at least a basic type of training, and it needs
Absolutely.
to be the same. So everybody kind of hears the same thing and understands the same thing. So that's your core training, that's your basic stuff there. But then you're also going to train and educate people on their job roles, right? I wouldn't
Hmm.
necessarily give somebody that's maybe a floor worker on a factory who also, if they have an email address, they pretty much need some sort of awareness training. But I wouldn't teach them too much about looking for wire transfer fraud because they're
Right.
not likely to be the people that get that. Yet accounting is probably going to be some of the folks like that. Executives, they're big targets in lots of different ways. So make sure that they're getting what they need to do given their role. And this is going to be some of the things like maybe how to be safe when you travel. For the average person that never travels for the organization, life may be a little bit different for somebody that's a road warrior all the time, or executives that are always on the road and connecting to weird stuff all over the place. They're going to have a little bit more and better training related to the threats that they're going to face.
So what I'm hearing is really everybody needs to know the basics, but at the
Mhm.
same time, maybe more job specific on certain roles they're doing, whether they're doing with wire transfers or they're executives or they're a person on the line at a manufacturing plant. It really comes, it almost needs to be tailored to their role and possibly the potential of what kind of threats are going to be coming through the door, which will then help you design an effective cybersecurity awareness training program that would be, working for your organization. Thank you, Erich. Thank you for sharing your experience and expertise on this topic. And for those who are still with us, thank you for joining us today. If you would like more tips and best practices from the experts, please like and subscribe, and more videos will come. Cheers.